Hi, I'm Trisha Barretto, and I'm a psychic medium, and I am a twin flame in union with my twin that is in spirit. And today I would like to identify some of the spiritual stuff that happens after your twin flame dies. So you can kind of recognize it in your own journey and know what to do with it. It took me a really long time, 28 years, to really understand that my twin was my twin, is my twin, and that all these spiritual awakenings, I think, were assisted by him. And he helped in a lot of the spiritual stuff. So I kind of want to highlight where you can see similar things in your journey, because I don't want it to take for you to have to experience it to take so long like it took me. And I know everything is divine timing, but I think it really helps to be able to not only identify who's your twin when somebody you're with and they die and you don't even know they're your twin. So I think identifying them and then understanding the spiritual path that kind of unfolds for you after they pass is really important. So, because that's what the whole twin flame union relationship is. It's returning to each other to, and in the process of trying to return to each other, you're doing a lot of spiritual work and becoming more spiritually aware and returning to yourself, your soul. And so then you can come into union to be of service here in this physical world. So when my twin died, we had only known each other for maybe a summer, and he had passed towards the end of the summer very suddenly. And so the grief that I experienced him was one of the identifying things. At the time, I didn't think of it that way, but now looking back, I can see that the grief that I had, it didn't make sense to me how I could be so devastated with somebody that I only knew for a matter of months. But I was. In my other video where I shared my twin flame death and union experience, I shared that I was suicidal when he passed because I was so devastated and I didn't know what to do with that grief, and it didn't make sense to have that level of grief. I could never make sense of it. But it was an extreme level of grief that was not the same and is not the same kind of grief that I have had for other loved ones that have passed. It was definitely different. And after my twin passed, my whole life changed. Like where I was located at physically, what I was doing in my life physically changed right after his death. So I think that's another indicator, maybe like a major change, a major shift in how you're living, maybe even where you're living, your path. It's like majorly shifted. And then after he passed, my life went on and years went on, and there was several spiritual awakenings that I had, and I always felt like no matter what choices I made in life, where I went in life, what location I was in, that I was having these spiritual awakenings. And they even happened when I was in Christianity. I mean, a lot of my time was in Christianity, so there was a lot of spiritual awakenings happening there. And then more recently, I would say in the past 7, 8, 9 years or so, leaving Christianity, there was more indicators about my twin reaching out to me, such as like feeling his presence but not knowing it was him, just feeling somebody like watching me in my home. As scary as it sounds, and in certain instances it did feel scary because I didn't know that this is who was watching me, and this was my person trying to communicate with me and trying to be around me and take care of me and protect me. There was an instance one time where I saw an orb shoot through my apartment from my living room to my bedroom and disappear. That I still don't know if he can take credit for that, but there's just like different things. I always felt a presence of somebody watching me. there's different electric things happening in my home, like electronic device going off, like when it shouldn't be going off. My dog watching, like acting like she's watching somebody, but like nobody's physically there. I'm trying to think what else. But there was several spiritual awakenings that I had even through Christianity, and then pulling me out of Christianity into a bigger awareness that became more expansive. Another thing that I haven't shared yet, and I think I'm going to probably do like a whole video about, is there's a belief that before you connect with your twin, that there's a false twin that you would experience. Now, I can only speak from my own experience. I don't regurgitate information that I take in from others in a way where it's like, oh, I just believe it because somebody else said it. No, I have to experience it myself for me to believe and know that it's true. And so I absolutely had, the way that I came across the term twin flames is I had a very unhealthy relationship on and off with somebody over the course of probably like more than 10 years, but it was very on and off. It was very unhealthy. But now looking back at it, I remember like feeling this crazy sense of connection with this person, even though it was really unhealthy, and even though it wasn't reciprocated from them. It was me giving the love to them, and just like, this is really unusual. This person is really toxic. I became aware that they were really toxic. Part of me knew from the beginning they were not well for me and not like well within themselves, but I continued on the relationship and I continued on pursuing them. This was years ago, and I'm just like, just coming back to me. And it was a very painful experience with this person, but now I can look back and I could be like, yeah, the reason why I was Googling this kind of relationship, like I can't even remember exactly what I Googled, but it's like toxic relationship that you can't end with somebody that you really love, and like what kind of soul connection is happening here. And so that's when I was introduced to the twin flame title. And I just noticed that it was always associated. Everything I read, it just felt like such a toxic, unhealthy relationship. And what I was experiencing was really toxic and unhealthy with this person. But I would absolutely say that that was part of my journey. And I would go a step further to say that if you're somebody with a twin flame experience, whether it's a twin that's living or in spirit, this may be part of your journey as well. This may be a telltale sign that, hey, you may be sent a false twin. And for whatever reason, I couldn't tell you. I know that I gained a lot of lessons from that experience. It helped me get out of a very dangerous, unhealthy marriage. At the time, it helped me to learn to love myself better, to stand up for myself, to be truthful to who I am. Like, there was a lot of lessons that I gained out of that relationship with that person. So I would say that that relationship was needed in my growth and my development and my healing and my awareness. So if you have a false twin story, or awareness, that could be an identifying point in your journey to your actual twin, whether they're living or they're in spirit. And I have to say at this point, there is nobody that can identify your twin flame. I don't think, I'm a psychic medium. I won't even say that I can identify somebody's twin flame, whether living or in spirit. I think that is the responsibility of self to identify this person. And I think through your journey, your twin flame journey, that absolutely happens, and it needs to happen in divine timing, in your growth process, in your awakening process, in your awareness process, to come to the understanding, hey, this person is my twin. It took me 28 years. Heck, I was working as a psychic medium for 6-7 years with my twin, and I still didn't know that he was my twin. That's so crazy to me. Even now, like, I'm always still trying to wrap my head around everything because it's still fairly new, the awareness. But it's like, yeah, you have to come to the awareness yourself, and there's nobody, the validation has to come from self. It has to come from self, and that is part of the journey. So that was an identifying thing, was the false twin relationship that I had. And that, again, that relationship spanned on and off for over 10 years, and it ended, I don't know, maybe like 7 years ago. And it's funny also now that I'm saying that, because at the time that that relationship ended was the same time right after it ended, I became aware of my psychic medium abilities. There's a connection there. So I got rid of the false twin, realized like this is toxic. Even though I won't take credit for ending the relationship, that person, well, I did in my own way, but it was mutual. We both mutually ended it in our own ways. But yeah, now I'm connecting it. I can feel my twin right here, John, right now when I'm saying it and realizing, yeah, when I was able to let go of that toxic, false twin, my abilities, my psychic medium abilities came into my awareness in such a major way. And that's when I realized it, I started practicing, and I became a professional psychic medium. So there is something to be said about once you can get through, if you're experiencing a false twin relationship, once you can gain all the lessons out of it and healing and move forward, maybe some more of your own spiritual abilities are going to come in, and your twin will be able to, your real twin, especially if they're in spirit form, will be able to bring them in more, like John did for me, my twin John. What else can I say? It's like going back and trying to put the pieces together and articulate it in a way to show those of you, especially those of you that have a twin in spirit, and you're wondering, like, what do I do now? They died. Like, I don't know what to do. Does this relationship continue? What are we meant to do together in this world? What does it look like? I do believe that a lot of the things, when you have a twin in spirit and you're working with them, that a lot of what you're going to be doing may be around spirituality and bringing more awareness to people here in this world, so they can have awareness about their own souls, who they are on a soul level, that could bring in healing to them, that can help them, that can break open their heart space, it can change their minds, their beliefs. I do believe that we really, as twins with twins in spirit, we have a very special, unique calling that may be a bit different from those that have twins that are living, or those that have twins that are in spirit, but they're not even aware because they did not incarnate in this life together. So they don't even remember who their twin is. Even though their twin is there in spirit helping them, they just don't have that awareness. And for those that, maybe feel like you have a twin in spirit, but you never incarnated in this life together, I don't know that a medium can pick that person out and say, hey, this is them. I don't offer that. I don't do that. And I would kind of, I always have to say, use your own intuition, trust your gut. Don't just believe everything, not even from me. Your experience and your journey is unique to you and yourself and your soul. And so what you're doing when you're listening to all this spiritual information is you're trying to see if anything resonates that somebody's teaching you or sharing about their own experience. Find what's resonating with you and what's true to you, and take that, but leave what doesn't. Don't just believe everything. We're so quick. A lot of us are so quick to believe others' spiritual stuff. And just because they're a medium or they're a psychic or they're the spiritual teacher, that we're quick to take on everything that they're saying as truth. And you just can't do that. You can't. There's too many variables to your own unique soul journey. But the key is to use your own intuition, your own inner knowing, your own inner compass to discern what feels right for you, and take that in and use it and kind of gather. I mean, that's what I do. I see what feels right to me and I gather, and I'm able to kind of evaluate it, because I think by nature I'm a skeptic. I'm a skeptic of people. Quite honestly, I mean, it's kind of crazy to say that as a psychic medium, but like I'm a skeptic of people in this world because there's just so much deception and dishonesty here. And so for me, I'm always like, what's real? Let me weigh this. Let me see what resonates with me. Let me take some of it to spirit and see what they're telling me and making me feel about it so I can really get the truth and I don't get trapped in somebody else's projection or experience, and I can continue to not have barriers and limitations in my belief system, because anything really is possible. You don't want limitations, you want expansion. That's what you're after here. You want to know there's no limitations, anything is possible, and it truly is. I don't know that I would have said that a year ago. Even as a psychic medium, I don't know that I would have said that. But now with this whole twin flame death journey, I will definitely say that anything is possible. I have my twin right here, even if it's like, maybe it's not his whole consciousness. I'm not quite sure. I've asked a lot of times, but the way that I know him, he's such a loving soul and always wants to help others. Like that, I feel like that's a driving force that he has, that with him and me in union in this way, it feels like maybe it's part of him, like a fragments of him, and then like maybe some of him is out there in the physical world or in different parts of realities helping others. That just feels right to me, and it almost feels like an inner knowing. But I mean, if this is possible, imagine what else is possible that we don't remember. I can't say it enough. And if you watch my videos, you're going to hear it a lot. Like, we all have this soul amnesia, every single one of us. And this illusion of this 3D physical world that we're living in is fully an illusion. And like, I'm still learning. The learning never stops. And I just said it earlier in the mediumship circle, you know, even after we die and we leave these physical bodies, we still keep on learning. The whole thing with souls we are meant to grow and evolve and go on these journeys one after another. And I kind of equate it to like a video game and just going up in the levels, you know, passing each level and just continuing to go and evolve and grow. And if you didn't watch my last video where I shared my twin flame death experience in union, there was a pivotal point where my twin came to me for this physical union where I said, I just want to live in love. I just want to live in a place where only love exists. And I feel like today I can like share a little bit more about that, that we truly can. Like, I never thought it was possible. It always feels like a challenge to live in the vibration of love consistently here in this physical world, just because the nature of it is so dense and there's so much negativity and so much hard stuff here. But I do believe that there is a way to live in love, and even with the hard stuff, and even with having boundaries, even with having harsh experiences that come up in our lives and in our feelings and in our emotions, I believe there still is a way to live in that vibration of love. And the more that we can do that, the more we kind of evolve and get to the next video game level, so to speak. And I kind of went off here on a tangent, but there's just so much to it. And I just want to share everything that I've experienced in hopes that it can help some of you that are having similar experiences to know how to navigate it and where you can identify these parts of spiritual awareness coming in. The psychic medium thing seems very universal when you have a twin flame that has died. That seems like your twin flame is going to find a way to bring that awareness of your psychic medium abilities. And I wouldn't just say it's psychic medium abilities. I would say that there's further, more specific abilities that can come that are maybe associated with psychic abilities and medium abilities that may be more specific, or very specific clair senses that are stronger than others. Outside of the spiritual awakenings that have happened when my twin flame died, there was always a big pull to God for me. and being empathetic and highly sensitive. Those are definitely things. I remember at one point in time before I knew all this, I was resonating with being an empathetic person, a highly sensitive person. I remember people telling me, well, you're too sensitive. You're too sensitive. My false twin flame would tell me, you're too sensitive, like it was such a bad thing. And it's actually a superpower. It's one of the big superpowers that we have here in this physical world. And I said it earlier in the mediumship circle that I had, that, you may not recognize your soul or the direction your soul wants to go into, or have remembrance of why you came here, but your heart is deeply connected to your soul. And when you can touch down with your heart and see where your heart's leading you, you can be sure that, that's usually your soul saying, hey, go this way. Hey, focus on this thing. Hey, love this way. Give this way. Especially when it's like in service of others, in love of others, and healthy love and unconditional love, then you can be sure that's coming from your soul. So it is a good idea to trust that. Trust your heart space and what your heart is showing you and telling you and making you feel, because that has been pivotal. Like I was talking to my son the other day, and I'm not a big tattoo person, but I was a Christian. Part of my story is I was a Christian for, I don't know, like 20 years or something. From 14 years old, I became a Christian on my own until my mid 30s. So the math on that. But I had gotten a couple tattoos, and they were Bible scriptures that really spoke to me at the time. Being so Christian, and one of the Bible scriptures, now I can, like I was telling my son, I regret getting tattoos, because when you get older, it's like, oh, do I really want these, but now that I look at one of the tattoos, you probably can't see it too well on camera, but it's a Bible scripture that's in the shape of a heart that I came up with on my own. And the Bible scripture is Proverbs 4:23, and it says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. And though my path with Christianity was important, I kind of grew beyond that, and my awareness and my expansion grew beyond that, more to back to where my soul is and the truth of all of it. But this Bible scripture served me well, and it was truth. And I really do believe, whether it was John or my loved ones in spirit, whether they associate with the Bible or not, they were telling me to guard my heart, because it was going to be the most important thing on my journey that was going to direct me and act as a compass for me. And it is so freaking true. And this tattoo has so much more meaning than I ever knew. So there may be things in your life like that, little things like that, where you could be like, oh, okay, I'm being guided. The signs and the synchronicities are really, really important. Absolutely. But you don't want to get stuck there. You want to go beyond that, and you want to go on to understand how spirit communicates, whether it's through telepathic communication or through mediumship. By the way, if you're not familiar, justopenheartsnow.org is a website that I started in honor of my twin flame and my journey together. Everything is free through that website, justopenheartsnow.org. There's links in the description and in my bio here on YouTube. And I do a mediumship circle every week, every Wednesday. It's free, and you can come and learn mediumship, telepathic communication, anything that has to do with spirit communication we're doing over there. Some stuff is talks of twin flame death, where communication is concerned. Everything with spirit communication, it's such a big thing. And then on the website itself, there's going to be articles, these videos are linked, whatever content, just everything is free, because along with John, we wanted to create something accessible and free to everybody, to help everyone reawaken to their souls, to reawaken through spirit, to open up that heart space again. And so that's the hope with justopenheartsnow.org and the mediumship circle. You can find the link to register for the free mediumship circle on the website as well, linked here on YouTube. What else can I share? I'm just trying to think. There's so much when we think about the soul's journey here in this physical world. And I would just say, let it all fall away. Let it all fall away, whether you're just thinking or you're in a meditative state. Try to let the world fall away and reconnect with your heart space. if that's easier than connecting with your soul, and just see what you're feeling. Maybe journal, maybe write it down. Just really try to see what you're feeling, because this world has us believing some nonsense and some BS that is not true. We are all created by God to embody God's love. We are love. We are God. That's what we are. And nobody is more loved or more special than the next person. I don't care. Like, the world makes you believe like you have to have money and power and celebrity, and that's the most valuable thing. And it's bullshit. It's not true. You could be the most broken person and God is still in you. You are still a version of God, and you still are created to love and be loved. And that's part of this twin flame journey too, is to understand that's part of the spiritual awakening that I've experienced, whether it was through Christianity or beyond Christianity. It's understanding who God is, that God is love, that we are created in God's image to embody that same love, and then go and output that love and also receive that love too. It's reciprocal, it's just going around, and we're all interconnected, no matter how separate you feel. A lot of times we have these really hard experiences in our lives and they feel very isolating, but maybe you would be surprised to know that so many other souls that are existing in this world have had the same or very similar experiences, and you're not alone in these hardships. But I think it's really understanding your own divinity and who God is. That was pivotal. That was the foundation. God was the foundation of everything for me. Everything, even though it started in Christianity, and I can even go further back. Before I became a Christian on my own at 14 years old, but I was born into a Catholic and Muslim family, two different religions. And so I was around both of them, and I had had experiences with both of those religions as a child, though I never really deeply connected. So God will find you anywhere. Whatever religion you're in or not, whatever your belief is or not, God will find you anywhere. That's the biggest love story that you can ever imagine, far greater. The twin flame relationship and connection only comes from God. God is the one that created the twin flame connection, and the way that our souls were created as there's, I don't know if I want to say two parts. It kind of feels like two parts that equal one. But yeah, it's only because of God's love. And this journey is really not just about discovering, we have a twin flame and we have somebody that loves us so immensely. It is about bringing us together to almost be in this complete love, so our output to the world can be greater. Like with me, I almost gave up. As a psychic medium because I was so disheartened by the world and feeling like I wasn't doing enough and I wasn't reaching enough people. And that's when my twin flame joined me for union. And so that has strengthened me to keep going, and not only keep going, but doing it in different ways and in bigger ways and in free ways to make it more accessible for everybody to share in this mediumship circle that we do, and learn and experience how spirit communicates and how our loved ones that have died communicate with us. And I mean, there's just so much to be said, and I'm sure I'll do more videos, but this was really about the signs that happen after your twin flame dies. Even if you don't recognize, like I didn't recognize John was my twin flame. There's a term, it's an old Greek term. I don't really like the term twin flame because of all the negativity associated with it. But there's older terms. There's heros gamos. It's Greek, and it means sacred marriage. And that's exactly what this is. It's a sacred soul marriage twin flames have, and it's ancient. Twin flames, the term twin flames came around in the late 1800s, but the actual creation of twin souls, twin mirrored souls, whatever terminology you want to use, has existed since the beginning of time, since God first started creating souls. So, there are different names for it. And I'm writing a book called Twin Flame Death with my twin flame and spirit, John. We're writing it together. And so I really want to, I kind of have an issue with like everything being in these spiritual terms, which I understand we have to put a lot of things in spiritual terms for Google to even index whatever we're writing or sharing videos, and for people to be able to understand and find them. But I'm not a fan of twin flame term at all. And it kind of almost takes away the beauty and the truth of it just in that label alone. So I might use Heros Gamos more because that feels more of my time, or more, it vibrates more in my soul than twin flames. But I want people to be able to understand what I'm talking about here, that this is a sacred union that started in the beginning of time. This is not new. I don't think, like, I know that a lot of people go searching for their twin flames. That, as you can see, that wasn't my path at all. Not at all. My path was completely opposite. Who I went searching for was God. That's who I went searching for. Because out of necessity in my life, the way that my life was as a child and as a teenager and a young adult, I needed God so desperately. And so that searching for God, I ended up finding my twin. And my, I have to say, my twin never left me. It was the awareness that I found through God, through my relationship with God, even though I got a lot wrong because I thought God was like this limited God, because that's what I learned in Christianity. And when I left Christianity and came into more spiritual awareness, I didn't change what I learned about God. I kind of carried it over from Christianity, and that was not true for me at all. God is way more expansive and can do the impossible in so many ways. And the way that we've been created as souls is not what this world would make you believe at all. We are very magical and we are very powerful. We have more power like you think it, and it can be. That is so true. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, this world, it makes you have a lot of negative thoughts and a lot of negative feelings. I struggle every day to try to be more positive and try to visualize more positive things and imagine more positive things that I want here in this world and after this world and other places that I am going to exist in and quite may exist right now. And sorry, that's my honey. But I just wanted to share, I was inspired after the Mediumship Circle to share, just some of these telltale signs of when your twin flame dies, what may be happening spiritually in your life, where you can kind of identify, okay, this is happening. I can see this in my journey or similar things. So you do have a better understanding, because again, I can't emphasize this enough. The twin flame journey is all about spiritual growth and coming back to your own soul and your own self-love and your love for God. I feel like God is pivotal in this, and I don't think there's enough people in the twin flame communities talking about God, or maybe they do and they just articulate it in a different way. But yeah, Mother, Father, God is the greatest love story of the twin flame journey, and we're just so lucky and honored to be a part of it and be vessels for God to use this way to love each other and connect in these deep soul ways, and then expand this love outwardly out here in this physical world to help this world and help bring this world to a better place, and kind of maybe heal some of the damage and bring awareness that heals some of the damage that's happened here, this trickery, this illusion here, so souls can truly remember who they are and stand back in their power and their healing, and we can turn this ship around here. That's really what I wanted to say today, and I hope that it's been helpful. And again, just openheartsnow.org. You can sign up for the free Mediumship Circle every week. That's there. I look forward to seeing you. I hope these videos are helpful in your journey. Please share them with others that you know that may be experiencing these types of things, please subscribe to the YouTube if this is something you're interested in. I'll talk more about spirit communication here, twin flame death stuff, union, just whatever I've experienced myself that I know is real and true. And then, like I said, always use your own discernment, your own intuition, your own wisdom. Do not steer away from what your gut is telling you. That is the most valuable direction that you can get, aside from, God. So use that. Use what you got there within you. You're very powerful. And thank you for listening. Take care.